Hello everyone, welcome to the Financial Information channel. In this video, I am going to break down the Baozun earnings and I'm gonna give you my opinion if the company is gonna perform as well in 2018 as the company did in 2017. And as you have seen by now, Baozun reported earnings. The company had a huge day on Tuesday. After Baozun announced the earnings, the share price moved up over 31% during the day. And quite frankly, I was quite surprised. I was expecting anywhere between 10 to 15% after the company announced the earnings on either side. And it was more likely that the share price were going to move in the positive direction because the company had posted really good earnings and the share price had moved down during the last 3 quarters. Now you have to keep in mind that Baozun had a fantastic 2017. The share price moved up over 170% last year. And I'm going to put on screen at this moment. In the last video, I mentioned the company was going to be changing the model. And you can go and look at that video. I mentioned the company was going to shift its model from a distribution model to a service revenue model. And that's where I'm going to start with the earnings that they reported on Tuesday. The company beat the EPS. Baozun beat the EPS by 11 cents and it missed on the revenue. Baozun missed on the revenue by 4.63 millions. The revenue is still 23% year over year. And the EPS is huge because the service revenue is going to give you better margins. I'm going to put on the screen the last 8 to 9 quarters where the company has reported earnings. And as you can see, the company has beaten the EPS by 1 cent or most of the time has been in line. And traditionally, Baozun has done really well during earnings. But now let's take a look at some of the highlights for this quarter and I'm going to highlight the fiscal year. So as you can see in the financial highlights, the revenue is 23% year over year. The service revenue, which is very important, was 56% year over year. The income from operation was up 179% year over year, and those are actually very good numbers. But now let's take a look at some of the key metrics. And the first one is the total gross merchandise volume. It was up 75% year over year. The distribution was up only 1%, but like I mentioned before, we're changing from a distribution to a service revenue. The number of brand partners increased to 152 from 133. That is another key number that we need to keep attention. And those are some key numbers that we need to pay attention when the company reports. First and the most important is the gross merchandise volume. And now that the company has been shifting to a service revenue growth, that is another number that we need to add into the list. Since Baozun has made the transition to a service revenue growth, that number is very important as well. In addition, Baozun has increased the number of partners. That is another important because the more partners they have, the more income and revenue they're going to create. Now the non-GAAP EPS is not that important, but I'm going to highlight it in the fiscal year. And I'm going to talk about the fiscal year and then I'm going to give you my opinion on the earnings and what this company is going to do in 2018. Now for the fiscal year, the company increased in revenue by 22.4%. The service revenue was up 55.8% year over year. The income from operation was up 184.6%. And if we take a look at the fiscal operation highlights, the gross merchandise volume was up 69% year over year. The distribution was up, and that number is not that important. The non-distribution was up 88.9% year over year. And the last numbers that I'm going to mention are the net income and the non-GAAP net income. The net income was up 141% year over year. That is impressive. And the non-GAAP net income was up 121% year over year. So now that we're over with the numbers, first they missed on the revenue because like I mentioned before, they are shifting to a service revenue instead of a distribution model. And if you plan to invest in Baozun, these are the 4 metrics that you need to pay attention. First is the gross merchandise volume. And second, that's going to be the service revenue growth. That is going to increase the EPS and the revenue for the company for the long term. And it has better margins. And third is going to be the growth of brand partners. That is going to be the companies that are going to be associated with Baozun. And the fourth one is going to be the non-GAAP EPS. That is the least important to me. And Baozun had an amazing earnings if you pay attention to the whole report. Baozun did the transition smoothly from a distribution to a service revenue. And since the company is located in China, where there's a huge growth potential, I believe this company is still gonna go up huge in 2018 and 2019. Now, one of the questions that you might have is, the company went up over 31% with these earnings, and I think it went up too much, but these are the two reasons why I think the company moved up so much. And the first one is Baozun reported the fiscal year, and that brings a lot of opportunity. Since we saw the complete year numbers, that usually leads to have more growth, especially when the company reports excellent numbers. So a lot of people were expecting the company to move down, and I believe there were a lot of people shorting this stock. And those investors that were shorting the stock got caught up when Baozun reported the earnings. Now I am going to answer two more questions regarding the company. First, this one is compared a lot to Shopify, and just like I mentioned in the July video, this has a better business model and it has more potential to move up more than Shopify. And since Baozun is a small market cap stock, that brings a lot of potential for the company to move up in the next few quarters. And the other question might be if the share price is a little bit too high. The trailing price to earning is around 144, but the forward price to earning is only 26. And it has great fundamentals, just like I highlighted in the July video. I'm gonna put the link in the screen. And one of the things that I would do if I was planning to invest in Baozun for the first time is wait for the company share price to settle. Don't chase the stock, even though the share price is up huge. I think the share price is gonna move down in the next few weeks. But over the long term, the share price is going to continue moving up. And that is gonna be everything for this video. Remember to keep your emotions in check, even though this was an excellent day. And remember, you can give a like to the video if you found the information helpful, or a dislike if you didn't like it. And you can subscribe to the Financial Information channel. I'm going to continue making videos about the stock market, personal finance, and how to make money online. And as always, I want to thank you once again for watching the video. Have an excellent day and take care, my friends.